Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, Shir Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We are back here, Baruch Hashem, doing the Shurim. Had to take a little bit of a break for a few things. Baruch Hashem, the eye healed, Yishtabach Shimolad. For all of you that came to the event, I got, Baruch Hashem, a lot of really good feedback. For anyone that missed the event that we had last week, you definitely missed a very special event, and Bezrat Hashem, we're working on having one in February, Bezrat Hashem. So we'll come out with the details probably in the next couple of days for everyone that is planning on flying in and so on. Either way, with tonight's Yul, it's Bezrat Hashem will give you a little bit of Divrei Torah, some things that we learned, and then Bezrat Hashem, you guys will ask some questions, and Kadosh Baruch Hu, Bezrat Hashem, will give us some answers. So tonight's Yul is for a refuah shlema for Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Rabbanit Avigail Simcha bat Mira Masudi, also for Avimori David ben Nesria, Doris bat Jora, Orit bat Ilana, and Atzlacha Rabba for Amir ben Shaheen, Marsha bat Julie, Ayla bat Marsha, Samuel ben Marsha, Cephas ben Marsha, Alexander ben Marsha, Louis ben Marsha, Shaul ben Farzane, Yitro ben Avraham, Oshri ben Doris, Gabi ben Doris, Elad ben Doris, and David ben Nesria, and all of Am Yisrael and all of the righteous Noahides that continue to learn Torah with us, continue to get closer and closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, continue to support. So Baruch Hashem, we have a lot going on. To be honest with you, it's a little bit too much, but that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. The event, Baruch Hashem, had a lot of really good feedback. Anyone that didn't watch the shiur, highly recommend it. We got great feedback from it from the people that came. Some people liked the first part and the chidush we discussed over there in the beginning. Some people liked the questions and answers, but it was amazing crowd. Baruch Hashem, a lot of free stuff, a lot of really great setup. And Bezrat Hashem, we're looking forward to the next event. Aside from that, we have, of course, our campaigns are continuing. As I discussed with you guys in that lecture at the end, as a special present for everyone that is looking to become even bigger parts of the Bezrat Hashem community. We're going to be seriously and actively looking for a place in these next, in these coming weeks, these next couple of months, until we find a place. But of course, once we find a place, we're going to need an enormous amount of your help to fund it. It's not going to be a cheap thing, and in so many words, we're relying on the fact that Hashem will send us the right partners to fund this big project that we have, especially since some of it we've already gone ahead and started working on a few years ago. One of them being bringing Rav Ephraim and his entire family to the United States, alongside with some other Avrechim and Rabbanim, Bezrat Hashem, when that happens. But of course, again, for all of this stuff, we need to have a place. So for any of you that are giving randomly, please try to make it more consistent. For any of you that are looking to move here and so on, don't ask me for an address right now. I don't have it, but Bezrat Hashem will have one soon. Either way, another big thing that we talked about that night is another very big project that we have, which we'll start the campaign on soon for anyone that wants to be a partner in it. It's the new USB. The new USBs that we have. These are really cool. Design, new on the block, where something like this doesn't really exist, not in the Torah world, and I don't really think anywhere else otherwise. But we'll have our USBs, Bezrat Hashem, in these collectible containers, And we're looking for partners. We're looking for people that are looking to invest a decent amount of money so we can give these out for free. Of course, we can sell them, and I'm sure people will pay for them. But the problem is that slows down the Kiruv, that slows down the distribution. We've seen a lot of blessing come from the Kiruv store that we have. For anyone that hasn't ordered stuff from there, it's all free. Rabbi Ephraim's books, Baruch Hashem, we just got the shipment and we're already out of almost half of them already. A little bit left, a few hundred left, and B'ezrat Hashem, we have a big order of 10,000 more copies of my book. Just got printed. 5,000 are being distributed in the U.S. and 5,000 in Israel. The 5,000 in Israel, almost all of them are gone. We have, I think, maybe a few hundred left already in a matter of a few days. Baruch Hashem, in Israel, the book is going really good. In America, it takes a little more time, but B'ezrat Hashem, once we get the shipment, we'll let you guys know. And B'ezrat Hashem, we have a bunch of other stuff going on. I know a lot of stuff is in Hebrew, so a lot of you are a little bit frustrated that it's not in English. But, for all of you that keep saying, oh, can you do this, subtitles on this, and can you print this in Hebrew, can you do this in Hebrew? Yeah, all of it costs money. A lot of it, and so we're doing the best that we can with what we can. With the book that we have, we didn't get a single sponsor. Not my book and not Rabbi Ephraim's book. And, we're talking about a huge amount of money because we're giving it all for free. So we're doing the best we can with what we can. And Baruch Hashem, for anyone that wants to be a partner, anyone that wants to print out the books, or other things, please let us know. With that being said, we have Baruch Hashem a lot of Torah, a lot of stuff going on, and of course the wars continue. The wars didn't end, even though it seems like it's been a little quieter in these last week or so. Nothing really changes, but we're gonna see what the parasha will teach us. And as you see from the title, there is actually a mitzvah to say LaShon HaRa. In the world today, there's a lot of confusion. Anytime you say something that's negative about anybody, immediately, especially if that person is a rabbi, holds themselves as a rabbi, or holds themselves as some type of important person, a political figure, and so on, these more righteous than thou types of individuals say, oh, LaShon HaRa, and so on. And unfortunately, one of the saddest things that is part of fighting these big wars against heretics and against people that are endangering Am Yisrael and so on is that there is collateral damage as part of it, where you see that the righteous people stay strong, the wicked people stay wicked. But the people that are in the middle, that are not so strong, but also they're not necessarily completely lefty, liberal, anti-Torah either. You see some of them making a choice. Some of them stay in the middle, still confused. But unfortunately, some of them make a bad choice and go to the complete opposite side. And we saw a couple of those cases recently where people that used to be decent turned mamash into reshaim arurim, just despicable people that literally, since the whole battle against the missionary Christian and the missionary Jew, Bramnik and Ephraim, since that whole thing came out, I mean, these people literally, they have made it their day job to do everything possible to torture us, everything possible to silence us. One of those things they did is they filed a copyright claim against one of our videos, where all we simply did is show what Rabbi Herschel Schechter wrote himself about this commingling and entertaining and working together with the Christian church. What he himself wrote about it. Why do we pick him out of all the rabbis in the world? I mean, there are many rabbis. We don't necessarily He's not our rabbi. We don't have anything against him, but he's not my rabbi. So why pick him versus, let's say, Rabbi Ovadia, or let's say pick the Shulchan Aruch, or pick the Rambam, or anything else? Because in essence, the Ephraim Goldbergs of the world, the modern Orthodox world, holds Rav Hersher Shechter as their Gdolado. He is their Rav Ovadia. He's their Chafetz Chaim. So when we brought an article that he himself wrote, that he himself is against and warning his own community and rebuking his own community from bringing in these Christians, these Christian missionaries, these different types of idol worshippers into their community, in the name of the Torah, in the name of peace, in the name of Rav Soloveitchik, was their misunderstanding of what Rav Soloveitchik said. He said all of it is a mistake. He spoke against it strongly, and again, as strong as words can get. And simply all we did is highlight this. But of course, the wicked people love to silence the truth because that's going to get in the way of their lies. If I brought you a Shulchan Aruch, which we did, or if I brought you a Chafetz Chaim, which we did, if I brought you a Sharet Tshuva or a Rambam, which we did, that doesn't matter to them. What matters to them is bringing their own rabbi. So when you bring their own rabbi to show them that their own rabbi disagrees with them, what do? They file a copyright infringement. Oh, you're not allowed to use this article. Of course, Baruch Hashem, our team are full of experts and geniuses. So after all, we won the copyright claim, and they have another place in Gehenom for doing what they did, because they were supposed to go to a Bet Din if they had a problem, not YouTube police. But anyway, the point being is that you see that the so-called ve'afta l'racha kamocha, that you must love your brother, you must love your neighbor, you must love everyone mentality that they portray is one complete lie. It just simply is you must love everybody as long as they agree with you. And that's obviously one of the things that we always like to expose, simply because it shows what's true, what's false. And that's really one of the most important things that a person needs to know in their life, to be able to decipher between the truth and the falsehood, because there's a lot of falsehood. There's some people that look righteous, but really they're wicked. There's some people that don't necessarily look so righteous, but they are big tzaddikim. So a person needs to know the difference. And in fact, there is a very big, to say the least, it's really an understatement, a very big misunderstanding and extraordinary ignorance about the laws of LaShon HaRa. And this is one of the things I wanted to discuss tonight. We've discussed it to a certain extent in the past, but we're going to bring you some more sources, because what I would like to do tonight is to go over some things, to address some of the unfortunate behavior on the other side, because if it's not addressed, it's people assume that it's okay or it's right. So, of course, in this week's parasha, Parashat Mishpatim, ve'elu ha'mishpatim asher tasim lifneim, the Torah after the Matan Torah after Mount Sinai immediately goes into giving us the laws, giving us the details of the laws. But the first thing that it starts off with is the law of having a slave. Having a slave, having a servant, whatever you want to call it, in so many words, it's having somebody that doesn't have the freedom of having their own opinion anymore. You've bought their opinion for a certain amount of time or permanently. And it gives all different types of explanations of what's the conditions and so on. But also tells you, the Torah also tells you that if this person comes to you as and he's single, and you give him a wife, another maidservant that you have, and they have kids, and after he serves his sentence, 7 years are done, he's free to go. But he says to you, no, I love my master and I love my my wife and kids. I don't want to leave them, because he can't take them with you, because they're in essence your property. You're allowed them to be with them. You're in essence producing more slaves. But the point being is that I know that in the politically correct world, this is considered ridiculous and so on, but we care less about that. This is what Torah says. You have a problem, go to Hashem. The reality is, in the world of the Torah, the slavery was permitted, but again, it's not the same type of slavery that people think, where there is a tortures like they did to the African American people and to others in the past, or what they did to the Jews in Egypt. No, and it's part of the explanations that's given in the Torah by the sages as well in regards to slaves, is that you're forbidden from torturing them, you're forbidden from doing certain things. In fact, the sages teach that when a Jew gets himself a slave, he gets himself a master. Why? Because if he has a one pillow, he has to give it to him. If he has to feed him, he has to do a lot of things and make sure that this person is not treated like a prisoner like they do in different institutions today in America and in all the countries in the world, but rather the whole issue of slavery in Judaism is a way to actually rehabilitate somebody, rebuild them, to help them do tshuva. That's really the whole purpose, because a person doesn't become a slave for good reasons. They typically become a slave because they stole and they can't pay the money back. But that doesn't mean that the person belongs in jail for the rest of his life. It just simply means he has to do tshuva. That's really the most important part. So the issues of slavery, if the person after 7 years serves his time and he doesn't want to leave, there's a whole process where they make a hole in his ear, and the sages ask, why is the Torah starting with this? Okay, we got the Torah at Mount Sinai, an extraordinary event, monumental event. You can say the climatic point in the entire Tanakh and Parashat Yitro. And now we start off with, instead of telling us, I don't know, maybe the laws of learning Torah, or the laws of Kashrut, or the laws of Shabbat, or 1.5 million other things that you could come up with, instead we have the laws of slavery. Why slavery? I mean, it's especially since, again, it's not applicable today because we don't have slaves today that, according to the Torah. There are slaves in the world, unfortunately, but not slaves according to the Torah. So why would the Kadosh Baruch Hu, who knew the future, obviously, knows the past, the present, and the future is all the same to him, why would he choose to put slavery as the first thing that we need to learn about after we receive the Torah? Forever and ever. Why should we do that? And again, why also give us the details of what happens if somebody doesn't want to stop being a slave? Says Rav Nisim again, alav shalom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to remind us, a person that became a slave didn't become a slave because he was a tzaddik and he's being persecuted and he's being tortured. No, this is all from heaven because of his actions. His misaction led to a certain consequence. Luckily for him, it's not supposed to be permanent. It's supposed to be a temporary sentence because it's only in this world. The eternal world is a permanent sentence. But why is he serving this sentence? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu in essence saw you stole money, you took money that didn't belong to you, did certain things that put you in a position where you became a slave. Okay, do tshuva, go become a slave, do tshuva over those several years, learn from your master how to be righteous, learn Torah, learn all the things that you were supposed to listen to at Mount Sinai. Fulfill all of them, and after 7 years you have a fresh new start. You have a fresh new start, and you won't have to serve in Gehenom forever. So that's in essence the whole teaching. But if a person after 7 years doesn't want to leave, and he wants to stay with his non-Jewish girlfriend, and he wants to stay with his non-Jewish kids, and he wants to stay a servant of another man, he wants to stay a servant of money, he wants to stay a servant of physical desires, he doesn't want to leave, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, then put a hole in his ear, because the only reason he got into this place in the first place is because he didn't listen to what we told him to do at Mount Sinai. And because he didn't listen there, he didn't do tshuva here, while he was supposed to do tshuva as a servant, we're going to give him a permanent reminder that it's all because he heard what it was said. Just like Yitro heard. Amalek also heard. But Yitro did tshuva, and Amalek went against Hashem. And this servant, you heard the laws, you had an opportunity to do tshuva, but you chose not to. And that's what it says, Reshaim, wicked people, even at the gate of Gehenom, do not do tshuva. But of course, the wicked people are not foolish. The wicked people are going to do everything they possibly can to try to kosher their pig, to try to make the pig look kosher, to try to make whatever misactions they have look legitimate, look authentic. They even had a rabbi, I believe his name is Yitzhak Adelstein, on this Behind the Bima by Ephraim Goldberg and his cohorts. Apparently, even though most people in the Jewish world never heard of who he is, apparently he's respectable and he's known all of a sudden, because it's convenient for him to become respectable and known and a Talmid Chacham and so on. And again, I don't have anything against him aside from the fact that what he said is a complete mistake, and it's actually causing the masses to fall into a trap, and that's it's one of the things that they said on this program. Unfortunately, with Ephraim Goldberg is while they believe that people like myself, which they were referring to me, are worse than terrorists, are worse than missionaries, are worse than everybody else in the world.
People who are loose cannons are the most dangerous people on the face of the earth, especially when they can marry their enthusiasm with what they think is their understanding of Yiddishkeit, of what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants for them. They're more dangerous than missionaries and proselytizers in my book.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think the fanatics and extremists and Jewish terrorists are actually arming anti-Semites, and the evidence is there, not for now, but when fanatics speak out of line about those other religions or personalities, they get quoted by anti-Semitic groups, Muslim anti-Semitic groups, white supremacist anti-Semitic groups, who actually take their horrific quotes and rhetoric and use it to advance their anti-Semitic cause. Not only are they not protecting Jews, they're harming and risking Jews in ways that the greater community should truly hold them accountable.
The Christians are people that we need, according to Rabbi Adelstein, and according to Ephraim, that agreed with him and emphasized this point 17 times thereafter. We need our Christian friends. We need them. Like, we don't have a Kadosh Baruch Hu. We don't have, we need the Christians because we need friends. We need friends. And, because we have Arabs that are not me, our actual real Arabs, we have them that want to kill us, a couple of billion of them, and a bunch of Nazis and a bunch of other anti-Semites. We need the millions of Christian missionaries out there as friends.
This is a matter of sakonas nefashos. Sakonas nefashos. Read my lips. Sakonas nefashos. Pikuach nefesh for the Jewish people, that we maintain good relations with the last ally that the Jewish state has on the face of the earth. I cannot overstate the importance of that alliance and that support.
So, but how do you justify the fact that their whole mission, according to their own Bible, that's mentioned in multiple places, their whole mission in life is to missionize, evangelize, thereby convert the Jewish people to their idolatry that they don't believe is idolatry? How do you deal with that, Rabbi Adelstein? How do you deal with that, Ephraim? Oh, we're just going to tell them not to missionize.
He got John Hagee to understand that you just can't deal with Jews if if you're supporting missionary activity, if you are funding missionary activity, even if you set up a shell company that's doing it through some linkages, we're going to find out about it, and that's the end of the relationship. That got John Hagee to reassess whether he should be funding some of those. There's certain churches around that are known to spend heavily on missionizing directly to Jews, particularly parts of the Southern Baptists. There are about 100 different Southern Baptist groups, so I'm not going to go into which ones are, but they're there. We know who they are because people have been studying this for a long time. So our red line is that you tell people on the other side, hey, we're having a great time. There are lots of things we can do together. Hey, we're having a great time. There are lots of things we can do together. Hey, we're having a great time. There are lots of things we can do together. Hey, we're having a great time. There are lots of things we can do together. But I got to tell you, whether you like it or not, we got a history with proselytizing.
I mean, when I heard this, to be honest with you, I no longer believed what was told about these people being smart, because you either have to be completely stupid to say such a remark, or extremely naive, or bought. Somebody paid for this opinion. And again, I would love to be wrong about all of them, but this is what was said publicly. For the world to see that if you work with the Christian missionaries, okay, and you can't tell me they're not missionaries, because to be a Christian, you have to be a missionary. That's their religion. It's to think that a religious Christian is not a missionary is like thinking a shark doesn't swim. It doesn't work that way. So you're going to say, no, because we want to better the world together, they have a mission to, obviously, to do what they want, which, again, let them do what they want to do. We have a mission to do what we want to do, but we also have common interest to better the world. So therefore, we can better the world without the missionary part. Yeah, but what about the fact that that's their whole point? That's why they love the Jews, because they want them to convert to Christianity, because it says so in their Bible. It says so in their teachings. There's actually an entire Lausanne report that talks about how their entire purpose of connecting with the Jewish people in all of these different types of arrangements, whether it's food distribution or Love Israel events, all types of things, is simply because they want to infiltrate the community, which includes posing as religious Jews, even if they believe in Yoshke and they're not Jews at all, like was exposed by B'nai organization recently, or people that simply go into a synagogue and dance in front of the Sefer Torah in a Love Israel event. I don't know, maybe something like that happened recently, and all types of other strange things. Being a volunteer in a Jewish Federation or an AIPAC or a JCC or some other organization, or perhaps distributing food in the in Israel, in the Jewish community there, like that was done actually this past week in the Shevet Dan community, the community that came from Manipur, got a food distribution and from these organization, alongside some booklets that told them this is coming from the church. We want to be your friends. Everybody got a booklet. Everybody got a bunch of stuff. Now, of course, none of them signed up to getting all of these Christian documents. They just wanted to get some free food. But that's a package deal. Oh, you didn't know about it? Okay, you know what? Why don't you take a look at it and let us know what you think. Okay, thank you. God bless you. Jesus bless you. That's what these people say. It looks nice. It looks wonderful. Rabbi Adelstein has been buying into it for 30 years, he says, and we don't have any problems. He even says he checked into Mario Bramnick that he's not a missionary. If you ask Mario Bramnick, are you a missionary? Mario Bramnick will say, I'm the best missionary. Why? It's the whole purpose. We have it on video. But 15, 20 videos are not going to change the story. Why? Because the story cost money. And that's the problem, Rabotai. the naive individuals in the world think that, oh, maybe he's right. Maybe Rabbi Adelstein, that has 30 years experience with the Christian church, maybe he could just tell them, don't missionize, and they're going to listen to him because they respect him. If you're that naive, just think, go jump into a ocean, probably in Australia. They have some nice big, great white sharks. Go jump in there, but don't just jump in there. Throw the blood in there also and put some pieces of meat on top of you also, nice juicy meat, okay? Go in there and put a sign on yourself. Don't eat me, I'm Jewish. Let's see what happens. If somebody can get a GoCam and videotape it for us, I would like to see if the sharks listen to you. No one in their right mind would do such a thing, and no one in their right mind would not laugh at this irony. Why? Because you can't tell a shark not to eat you. Why? He's a shark. That's what they do. Now again, you say, yeah, but the sharks and all these people that love Discovery Channel are going to tell me, yeah, but they're not really going after humans. Just play along for a second. The reality is a shark, and you're not going to change it. An alligator, a piranha, whatever the predator you want. If they're hungry and you're in the way, you're going to look like a seal, you're going to look like a rat, you're going to look like whatever food they want. Just like a Kadosh Baruch Hu made all of the Egyptians chase Am Yisrael, even though they saw they're far away, and they figured, listen, their God is obviously making all of this happen, but they still ran after them. Chazal ask, why would they run after them? Are the Egyptians that stupid? Are they that naive? No! HaKadosh Baruch Hu simply made a miracle. All of the horses that the Egyptians were riding were male horses, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu made female horses run in front of them. They saw female horses in front of them. That's why they were running full speed into the ocean, into their own demise. So, you see, Rabotai, if a person jumps into an ocean or any other type of dangerous place and just simply says, don't eat me, I'm Jewish, it's not going to work. Even more so, if you tell somebody that where their life's work, their life's purpose, according to them, is to convert, evangelize Jews because they think they are bringing the good word. They think they're saving you. They think that you need this. So you're going to tell them don't do it, and they're just going to say, you know what? I'm going to put my life's purpose on hold. Click. Because you said so. This is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. So let's assume people are that naive. But if they are that naive, that they're not suited to be leaders, not of their community, not of an institution, needless to say, not of Klal Yisrael. So if we go to the second option is they're stupid, simply stupid people. I would like to believe that Rabbi Adelstein and Ephraim Goldberg are not stupid people. In fact, I'd like to tell you guys they're probably very, very smart. Why? They got to a certain level in their life, not simply by just knowing people. They obviously worked, they toiled, they learned, they have things to say. So stupidity is not their problem. Spiritual stupidity is a different story. We're talking about mental acumen. Now, so that cannot be. So they're not falling into this trap of the Christians being our friends because they're stupid. And again, they're not the only ones. There are many others like them. There are many other Jewish institutions, Jewish rabbis. Some of them are actually much worse, but we haven't gotten to them yet. And B'ezrat Hashem, perhaps maybe we would. But the point being is that it's not everybody's stupid. It's not stupidity. Okay? Then there's the third issue. And again, if it wasn't so obvious, I wouldn't even say it. You see, Rabotai, people ask me over this last couple of weeks, especially the last week, have you heard of the campaign where there's a bunch of, there's an organization, Aguda, I believe it is, and other organizations, they're all joining together to fight against this, the Israeli government, even though you're in America, but for some reason you think that Israel cares about your opinion, by getting 150,000 Jewish signatures to tell the Israeli government we're unhappy with them for thinking that they should or are going to give part of the Western Wall, the Kotel, to the Reform, to the heretics, to the spiritual enemies that are also Jews. Nonetheless, it's completely forbidden. You can't do that to us. This is a sacred site. This is a holy site. This is everything. And we're getting 150,000 Jewish people to sign this internet campaign so we can tell the Israeli government what we really think. Again, naive, possibly. But we'll deal with that in a second. The question people ask me is not why is there a campaign for the Kotel. Quite frankly, it doesn't make a difference to us if there's a campaign of 500 of them. The question I want to ask, and the people asking me, is how come the campaign against the Reform is literally they're spending endless amount of resources to publicize this campaign everywhere they can so they can get 150,000 or more signatures of a bunch of people that don't live in Israel to tell the Israeli government that they're unhappy with them, which in itself is ludicrous. But yet, when we had a verified Christian missionary who his number one objective is to missionize Jews, according to him, going to a synagogue, suddenly no one knows how to talk. All of the organizations, rabbinical or otherwise, stayed quiet. Vayidom Aaron, as it says in the Torah. Quiet. No one said a thing. And you can't say they didn't hear about it. Everybody heard about it. In fact, some even went and continued with their dealings with Ephraim, going to his synagogue thereafter, doing a Shabbaton, doing lectures there, doing shows with him, supportive if anything else. Now, you ask them, do you approve? Do you bring missionaries to your shul? No, of course we're not going to bring a missionary to our shul. So how come you didn't say anything about him bringing to his shul with 1,000 people showing up? How come? We like to remain neutral. We don't want to have machloket. We don't want to have arguments. That's for him to decide. I'm sure he asked his rabbi. We don't want to get involved. It's not really our territory. Everybody had their own agenda, their own excuse, their own garbage. Why? Because that's what it is. Why is it garbage? I'll tell you why it's garbage. Because this whole event exposed a certain ugly side of the Jewish world that could only be speculated until it was verified by the other campaign that's taking place right now to get these 150,000 signatures. What am I talking about? You see, when we said that there's a Christian coming to a synagogue, every single person that we spoke to was confused. What do you mean? It's a Reform synagogue. It's a Messianic synagogue. It's not an Orthodox synagogue. It's an Orthodox synagogue. Why would they do such a thing? Everyone asks the same stupid question. Why would they do such a thing? As if there's a logical explanation for such a thing. Now again, you think, okay, I agree, it's bad, speak out, chazaku baruch, something. No, everybody stayed quiet. Everyone stayed quiet. But yet for the Kotel, no one's staying quiet. Why? I'll tell you why. It was speculated until it was verified. You see, Rabotai, when it comes to the Kotel, who are they fighting? They're fighting the Reform. They're fighting the Enlightenment movement. An old fight that's just simply continuing against an enemy that doesn't contribute anything good to the Jewish world. In fact, they're enemies of the Jews no less than Amalek. And the reality is that you're never going to find a reform donating money to a yeshiva. It's not going to happen. Why? Because they're not for the yeshiva. They hate the yeshiva because they don't even believe the Torah is from Mount Sinai. So when you do a campaign against the reform, you're not risking anything. You're not risking losing any donors or losing any supporters. Why? Because they're agreed upon that they're the enemy, and in essence, they don't contribute anything to us. On the other hand, when you go to a different spiritual enemy called the evangelical Christians, the very same ones that have already kidnapped the souls of over 500,000 Jewish people in America in the last 2 decades and nearly 1.5 million in the last 30 or 40 years. We're talking about a massive amount. Almost 30% of the Jews in America have a connection to the Christian church. If that's not success, I don't know what is. But their success is our failure. So why don't the big rabbis, the small rabbis, the rinky-dink rabbis, the nobody rabbis, the big buddy rabbis, the fat one rabbi, the long beard rabbi, the white beard rabbi, the Chabad rabbi, the Breslov rabbi, the Litvish rabbi, the Hasidish rabbi, the Satmar rabbi, and all of the other rabbis that speak about Corona and Barona, and the Kotel and the Zionists, and the homosexuals and the transsexuals, and of course about Chaim Walder, you can't forget. And everything else under the sun that they feel they need to put their opinion on, why don't they speak against the evangelical Christians that are robbing our neshamot inside our own community, inside our synagogue? Well, usually you figure, I don't want to pick up a fight. Why should I go speak against them? They have nothing to do with me. But what about when I told you that they have something to do with you because they're going to your brother's synagogue? And they're going to talk to 1,000 of your other brothers. And it's going to look like it's kosher. Why didn't you say something then as a Rosh Yeshiva? Why didn't you say something then as a rabbi? Why didn't you say something then as a simple Jew? Why didn't you say something then? You know why? Because the Christians have a big dollar sign on them. And that's what they're scared of. You see, when you go against the reforms, you have nothing to lose. You go against the evangelical Christians, you are potentially risking hundreds of millions of dollars. And that is the belief of the heretics. That if you go against the evangelical Christians, you're going to lose what's rightly yours. This is what the Midrash Rabbah says in the beginning of chapter 27 on the words Vayishma Yitro. The Midrash says Vayishma Yitro has a lot to be learned from. One of the things we connected to is the Proverbs, where it says in Proverbs, do not forsake your friend and the friend of your father. Don't come to your brother's house in the day of your misfortune. A close neighbor is better than a distant brother. This is Proverbs 27, verse 10. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed is He, said, for the sake of my brethren and my friends, I shall speak of peace in your midst, says in Tehillim. And the friends of your father, this is an allusion to Avraham Avinu. What about the other section? What about the other section? The other section is referring to the offspring of Avraham Avinu. Don't forsake Avraham Avinu, but also, if you've forsaken him, take heed that you should not enter your brother's house in the day of your misfortune. Who is this? What is this rest of the verse about? This is referring to Ishmael and Esav. So Rashi HaKadosh comments on this. What does this all mean? What's the message here? What's the pshat? Rashi HaKadosh says in the name of the Midrash, the Jewish people are being warned here against giving in to the temptation to assimilate with the nations of the world in an effort to gain their friendship. Such efforts are doomed for failure, because divine providence causes the nations of the world to despise and reject the Jews who attempt to mix with them. Thus, the verse encourages one who would forsake God to contemplate the truism that even those nations that are related to the Jewish people will not provide them a safe haven. Presently, the Midrash is providing an example of time in which Ishmael behaved this way, and in essence, it's also extended to Esav. The point being here, Rabotai, is that it's not a theory that we are not supposed to assimilate and, in essence, commingle with the other nations, but rather this is a halacha. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai paskin halacha, Esav hates Yaakov. It's not a suggestion, it's not a theory, it's a reality. Now, the one thing that I've always said, that I always wonder about all of these people that love to invite the evangelicals into the Jewish community and yet call themselves Orthodox Jews and rabbis and so on, how do you understand Parashat, the Limchot et Amalek, the mitzvah that we're going to have in a couple of months, to read the verses, that we're obligated to destroy Amalek, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to destroy Amalek himself. He promised it. How do you understand this? Who is Amalek in your eyes? Perhaps you think I'm Amalek, but I'm only one person. You have to add some more people to my team. Who else is Amalek? Well, I'll tell you. Perhaps you haven't read Bereshit. Amalek is the grandson of Esav. Esav is Christianity. You see, not all Christians are bad people, but all Christians do believe in Jesus, and all Christians believe in a New Testament, and all Christians, I'm talking about religious Christians, and all Christians that believe in the New Testament believe that Jews need to convert to Christianity. Why? It's in the New Testament. It's not a theory. It's a reality. To tell me that, no, we're just going to tell them not to missionize, when they have a verse in their false testament that says, to the Jew first. What are you going to tell the Christians how to be a Christian now too? The reality is, Rabotai, is that for some reason or another, people have decided that they're going to help the Christians by taking their money and keeping them Christian. If you want to help the Christians, show them that they're mistaken and bring them to the Torah. That's how you help the Christian. Now, you think perhaps this is a mistake. This is going to create anti-Semitism. No, Habibi. The very same Midrash says that's our job in the world. To be a light to the nations. To be a light to the nations, Rabotai, does not mean that we all walk around with flashlights. To be a light to the nations doesn't mean that we just make YouTube videos. To be a light to the nations, that means that we have to show the world, whether Jew or Gentile, what the truth is. And in fact, in this very same Midrash, Chachamim ask, how did Yitro get the strength? How did Yitro get the strength to leave his idolatry? He was the head of idolatry. How did he get the strength to do such a thing? The Midrash Rabbah says, Am Yisrael, when they become holy, they create a spiritual light, and that light gives strength to the Goyim. What? Why would I want to give strength to the Goyim? That light that the Jew that serves HaKadosh Baruch Hu, saying, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. The Jew that fights for HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates a light. That light gives strength to the Gentile to see the truth and join Am Yisrael. Yitro got his light from Am Yisrael doing tshuva. Yitro got his light from Am Yisrael doing tshuva, being a light to the goyim. Doesn't mean that we have to go missionize the goyim, knock on the doors. Hey, Mr. Christian, Jesus, you want to come and join Am Yisrael? No, that's not our business. Our business is to do tshuva. If they want to come, we'll help them, no problem. But we're never supposed to pacify them and make them feel like they're doing good by staying Christians. That's not the opinion of anybody. Only people that see money think that way. And that's the problem. That's why they are fighting the reforms where there is no potential of losing money, and they're not fighting the Christian missionaries. In fact, they're inviting them and leaving them Christian missionaries. This reality, Rabotai, is very sad. Now, of course, everyone's going to say, hey, listen, I appreciate everything you said, but it's LaShon HaRa. Okay, so we're going to go over a few rules about LaShon HaRa. Why? There's a time that it's a mitzvah to say LaShon HaRa. Whether we should have started with it or now, only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows, but let me explain to you what LaShon HaRa really is, according to the one who's an expert in LaShon HaRa. Who? Chafetz Chaim. Chafetz Chaim, Rabotai Yekarim, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan, Alav HaShalom, was one of Gdolei Ador, one of the giants of Am Yisrael, who was a Ish Kadosh. And one of the main things that people could say about him all the time was how quiet he always was. He was so quiet that he merited the whole world talking about him non-stop till this day. All of his Kedusha, all of his amazing stories about him. Chafetz Chaim lived about 100 years ago. And while he's known as the Chafetz Chaim, because of the book that he wrote, the series of books that he wrote, Chafetz Chaim, he also has many, many other books, namely the Mishnah Berurah, the Shmirat LaShon, and many other books that he wrote. He also had Biur Halacha, which is on the Shulchan Aruch, Sefer HaMitzvot HaKatan. You have many books that the Chafetz Chaim wrote. Now, the Chafetz Chaim, if anybody saw him, you'd simply get inspired just by seeing this Ish Kadosh, just by seeing him. Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman, one of the Gdolei Ador, was a Talmid Muvak of the Chafetz Chaim, and every year he would get his chizuk by going to visit the Chafetz Chaim on the Yamim Noraim and the high holidays. And one of the times that he came back from the high holidays was very different than all the other years. When they asked Rav Wasserman, what happened? What happened this year when you saw your Rebbe, when you saw the Chafetz Chaim? What happened? He says the Chafetz Chaim sat a few of us down around him, and he told us this: I see black clouds going over Europe. There's a Holocaust coming. And this he said almost a decade before the Holocaust. And he said to them, if anybody's willing to take me from door to door, to get Am Yisrael to do tshuva, I'm willing to go. A Jew over 100 years old is begging anybody, please go get Am Yisrael to do tshuva. Do tshuva from what? Do tshuva from adopting Christianity. Do tshuva from going to the Enlightenment movement, the Reform movement, but also mainly Christianity, Catholicism, and so on. Many Jews converted to Christianity during those times before those very same Christians slaughtered them in the Holocaust. Everybody likes to forget those things and say, I'm sorry, but the reality is that while they're not murdering us in cold blood today, they're still murdering us in spirituality by taking our people and bringing them to church. And it's partly our fault. Why? Because we ourselves are not waking up ourselves. We ourselves are not waking up our brothers by telling them, you're idol worshippers. Please come to the truth. We're keeping them idol worshippers. Why? Because we like to get their money. This is one of the most pathetic performances as a nation that we have today. This is a pathetic thing. Why? Every Jew that knows a little bit of Torah knows that Christianity is idol worship. But yet, few speak against it. What are you going to say? You're saying a lot of LaShon HaRa there, Yaron. Okay, let's see what the master, Chafetz Chaim, what did he say? He's a person that was scared of saying a single bad thing about anybody. But yet, one of his Talmidim, when he was still a young Bachur, Rav Asher Ravnitsky, traveled to go see the Chafetz Chaim in the Bet Midrash, and he witnessed the story sees the Chafetz Chaim, a Jew that's 100 years old, about to start a shiur, and before this Chafetz Chaim starts the shiur, he says, Berkel Michelsen, Imach Shimo Vezichro. This Rabbi Asher almost had heart failure listening to the biggest expert in the world of warning us what not to say is cursing another Jew out loud before he started a shiur. He went to one of the other guys that's there. He says, did I just hear it right that the Rav just cursed another Jew? Michelson is a Jewish name. He says, let me explain to you. This Berkel is really Adam Cohen, Adam Dov Cohen, who was a maskil, a reformer, one of the Enlightenment movement, who also worked for the Russian government, and he was overseeing some of the rabbinical sites. And when he went to one of those Bet Midrashim, he saw a young kid who was constantly coming every day. Very serious kid. Nobody really paid much attention to him because he didn't have a father. And his mom was on a second marriage. So this kid pretty much was all alone all the time. So this Berkel saw a lot of potential in this kid. And he befriended him. And he saw that this kid could become also part of the Enlightenment movement. Part of the people that distort the Torah as a passion. Part of the people that brought a lot of disasters, both spiritually and physically, to Am Yisrael over the last few hundred years. One day, one of the people comes to the young boy and says, you can't be next to him. Don't you know who that is? No. This Adam Cohen is a missionary for the Enlightenment movement. He's an apikolos. He is a famous heretic. He's a person that makes it his business to get kids to leave the yeshiva and adopt their heresy. Since he didn't have much strength, he didn't have much money, he didn't have much anything. The only thing that the young boy had was the courage to run away. He ran away from there, went to Vilna, continued learning Torah until the world knew him as the Chafetz Chaim. But every single day since then, he said, Adam Cohen, this Berkel Michelson, Imach Shimo V'zichro. Why Imach Shimo V'zichro? Why may Hashem uproot his name? Because he tried to uproot me from eternity. So the very same Chafetz Chaim that cursed this person before every shiur every day, he writes halachot. He tells us not only what to say, but also what not to say. Not only what not to say, but also what to say. Now the Gemara in Masechet Yoma, page 86b, Rashi over there says that to publish the sins of corrupt people in order to avoid Chilul Hashem, because once these corrupt people that look righteous are finally destroyed by Hashem, people are going to say, wait a minute, he was such a good rabbi, how come Hashem is punishing him? This could lead to desecration of Hashem's name. Or more so, that to expose these corrupt people that look righteous, because you don't want people to follow them. You don't want people to learn from them. Rashi says it's a mitzvah. Mitzvah to expose these people that look righteous, but in reality they're reshaim, corrupt. The Meiri on Masechet Shabbat, page 48, comments on it as well. Similar topic. Says, although the issue of LaShon HaRa is despicable, one who publicizes the wicked people's actions, the corrupt people, in order to protect the righteous people from following them, is doing a big mitzvah and will get a special blessing from heaven for it. The Meiri, one of the Rishonim, 800 years ago, exposing the wicked people that look righteous, or even if they don't look righteous, they're simply wicked people, mitzvah. But what about LaShon HaRa? Everybody says you can't say a single thing that's bad about anybody. Only people that think that are people that didn't learn the halachot of LaShon HaRa. The LaShon HaRa laws are not the most difficult, but they're also impossible to know due to common sense. You have to learn them. Rabbi Simcha Zisser Mikelem in Sefer Chochmah u'Musar, in the Ma'amar 181, says in the name of Rabbi Chaim Volozhin, the Talmid of the Vilna Gaon, says that the verse that says don't stand over the blood of your fellow is referring to a person that has permissible LaShon HaRa, meaning LaShon HaRa that he's supposed to expose, and doesn't expose it, is violating that mitzvah. He's in essence standing over the blood of his fellow. Why? Because there's certain LaShon HaRa that you're obligated to expose. You're obligated to say it because you're warning people. The Chafetz Chaim, in the introduction to his Sefer Shmirat HaLashon, says that the benefits of this Sefer are not only what not to say, but also to ensure that a person does not become a one that is putting on himself a forbidden or a invalid stringency on saying LaShon HaRa to the point where he's not going to say the LaShon HaRa that he's obligated to say. Because that LaShon HaRa is supposed to be said to disparage someone as an actual mitzvah. Meaning it's a mitzvah to disparage this person. Why? Because that disparagement of that person is going to warn people from him. Now the Chafetz Chaim wrote about it halachot after halachot, and we're going to read a few. There's a couple of publications of the Chafetz Chaim. There's English, there's Hebrew, of course. There's I believe there's a new one also that came out by Art Scroll. In the Mekor HaChaim, in Ilchot Isurei LaShon HaRa, in Klal Dalet, Halacha Yud, says, nevertheless, meaning despite the fact that we teach that you're supposed to stay away from LaShon HaRa, a person can lose their Olam Haba for saying it, it's dangerous, it's bad, and so on. Nevertheless, if a person sees someone expressing a bad character trait, such as hardiness, anger, or some other bad personality trait, or this person doesn't learn Torah, and some other comparable character trait, it's the correct thing for this observer to tell his own son or his students and warn them not to associate with this person, so that they will not learn to emulate this person's lifestyle, since the essential reason why LaShon HaRa is forbidden by the Torah is, even if the remarks are true, is only because the speaker's intent is to humiliate his fellow Jew and to rejoice in his disgrace, which is forbidden. But if the speaker's intention, the one that says LaShon HaRa, who saw this person is desecrating Shabbat, saw this person is really, he goes against the Torah, doesn't learn Torah, brings missionaries to a shul, all types of things like this. does bad things. If this person that publicizes this other person's sins, if his intention is to protect this friend so that he will not learn to copy this person's lifestyle, then this is obviously a permissible and even a mitzvah to disclose this person's actions. Again, it's obviously permissible and even a mitzvah, says the Chafetz Chaim, to disclose this person's actions. In fact, if you go into the Ilchot LaShon HaRa in the Klal Dalet, but now you're going to go into the Be'er Mayim Chaim of a halacha number 10. Says, regarding the condition, I'll just read in English, regarding the condition that the crime, the transgression that this person is doing, he's violating Shabbat, he's bringing missionaries to shul, he's a some type of heretic, and so on. Regarding the condition that this crime, this transgression, should not be exaggerated out of proportion, because one of the things that a person, that he said in the other halacha, is that you have to tell people, to warn them, you have to warn them, but don't exaggerate, tell the truth, what it says. So now this Be'er Chaim is in Seif Katan Mem Gimel, is actually giving a comment, like a elaboration on what does it mean about don't exaggerate. It says, regarding the condition of not exaggerating out of proportion, if by merely stating, you need to know that if by merely stating the facts as they were, the listener will not distance himself from this person, and it's possible that some bad thing will happen from the association with this other person, then it's permissible to exaggerate the crime. Again, if you have a person that you tell him, listen, this guy is not a good guy, don't listen to him. Okay, he's gonna not listen to you. And you know that if he listens to this other guy, he's gonna end up going to, listen to Christianity or something. Or he's gonna go do something terrible. So you saying don't listen to this other guy is not enough. You have to exaggerate. Or you can exaggerate, I should say. You can exaggerate. Why? Because you're trying to save him. And that's what the Chafetz Chaim says later. It says it's permissible to exaggerate the crime, but there's one underlying rule that prevails here, and that is that the disclosure can only be made l'shem shamayim, for the sake of honoring God's holy name. Meaning, the speaker that's saying this LaShon HaRa foresees some tangible benefit will emerge from his disclosure, and that he has no hateful motivation in making it. Meaning he's not saying it because he doesn't like the other guy, or he's going to benefit out of it materially. He's simply saying it for the sake of heaven. He's saying it for the sake of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his children. That's it. If that's the case, not only is he allowed to say LaShon HaRa and publicize the sins and the misbehavior of these bad people, but on top of that, he's actually even allowed to exaggerate if the need is. The sad part is that in the recent war that we had, or really any of the wars that we had, we never had to exaggerate. Because the truth itself was already ridiculous as it is. There was no reason to exaggerate it. But yet, the world stayed quiet. Further, in Klal Fo, Klal Fo C5, says, person sees that a sin was committed by a person who is among those foolish people who are heretics, scoffers, cynics, those people that hate rebuke. Like Shlomo HaMelech teaches in Mishleh, don't try to rebuke the scoffer because he might come to hate you. And most assuredly, he would not accept a rebuke. And these people, in their foolishness, repeat their sins, just like Goldberg repeated his sin from trying to bring the missionary Matthew Kelly, now brought this one. But unfortunately, he brought some in between too that we didn't know about until after the fact. Either way, these foolish people that repeat their sins, and they would again sin. Therefore, it would be appropriate to disclose his actions to the authorities of the city even, who would then chastise him because of his sin and prevent him from committing the sin in the future. It's also my opinion, says the Chafetz Chaim, that this same law applies to the relatives of the sinner. Meaning that a person is even allowed to be a moser in order to stop sinners. Perhaps Goldberg thinks that I'm the sinner and that's why he sent the police to my house. I'm just not really sure what the sin was yet. Further, in Klal Chet, Klal 8, halacha number 5, all of the issues in regards to LaShon HaRa, says the Chafetz Chaim, the entire Isur, the entire prohibition against LaShon HaRa, applies specifically to a victim who the Torah considers to be your brother, your fellow Jew, someone who observes Torah and mitzvot. Because those people who are known as heretics, it's a mitzvah to denigrate and humiliate them, directly and indirectly, to them in their presence and even not in their presence, for whatever sins that they were seen committing, or even sins that were simply heard that they committed. Where the Torah instructs us in Leviticus chapter 25 verse 17, do not oppress your fellow Jew. Do not peddle gossip in society. And these people are not included in this warning because they have repudiated Hashem and don't behave as Jews should. And this concept is expressed by David HaMelech in Psalm chapter 139 verse 21, where David HaMelech says, those who hate you, Hashem, I will hate. And those who rise up against you, I will fight. Definition of a heretic, says the Chafetz Chaim, apostate, is someone who repudiates the Torah, denies that prophecy was given to Israel's prophets, whether he denies the written Torah or the Torah that was handed down through the generations by oral tradition, the Shas, the Talmud. This person is a apostate, even if he says that the entire Torah is God-given except for one sentence or except for a single logical deduction made by our sages, or a single chidush learned from the juxtaposition of two sentences in the Torah, or one single grammatical issue. In denying even the seemingly inconsequential details, this person has repudiated the Torah, denied the authority of the sages, and rejected Hashem. He is a heretic. He is an apostate. And it's a mitzvah to degrade and humiliate these people. Now the Avot de Rabbi Natan says this concept of hating, what's happening here? What's it mean? The statement comes to teach that man should not intend to say, love the chachamim and hate the unlearned people, but instead, man should intend to say, love everyone and hate the heretics and the missionaries, and those who entice people to convert, as David HaMelech taught. Those who hate you, I will hate. It's not about hating the rabbis or religious or not religious. No, no, no. Hate the missionaries. Hate the people that help the missionaries. Hate the heretics. Those people, hate them. Further, Chafetz Chaim says in Klal Chet in 8, halacha number 12. And even more, if a person goes and informs another Jew to a Gentile authorities, unquestionably, his sin is unbearably great. By informing, he becomes branded as a moser, as an informer, whose punishment is equal to people who deny God or repudiate the Torah or do not believe God will bring back the dead to life, and their punishment will continue long after Gehenom ceases to exist. As the Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page 17a teaches. And therefore every Jew must guard themselves very carefully not to commit this terrible act. But yet, a person that is a apikoros, you're allowed to do it against them. Person that is a missionary, you're allowed to be a moser against them. That's the significance here. Further, in the Sefer Shmirat LaShon, in Sha'ar Tvuna, in Perek Gimel, says Chafetz Chaim, those who abandon the Torah, the heretics, it's a mitzvah to denigrate them, just like I wrote in Chafetz Chaim, chapter 5, Klal 5, chapter 5, halacha number 8. Also in Sefer HaMitzvot, Chafetz Chaim repeats again, in the mitzvah velo ta'aseh, mitzvah 78, Ayin Chet, says the mitzvah of not hating your brother in your heart refers to a kosher person. But when a person is a sinner against another person, the mitzvah is to go and ask this person, why'd you do this to me? In order to remove the hatred from your heart. But if after you ask them, why'd you do this to me? And they don't retract, they don't rectify the situation, they stay sinners, they continue bringing more missionaries into the shul, it's a mitzvah to hate them, says the Chafetz Chaim. Mitzvah Ayin Tet, the next mitzvah, 79. Chafetz Chaim says, in regards to the mitzvah of not shaming another Jew in public, as we see in the Gemara Masechet Bava Metzia, page 59, where shaming a Jew in public, person could lose their olam haba. This is referring to issues between two people. But when it comes to heavenly issues, if the person that's sinning does not rectify his actions, doesn't stop violating Shabbat, he doesn't stop bringing missionaries to shul, he doesn't stop talking things that are heretical and so on, then you must publicize and shame him in public until he does tshuva. And this applies to all men and women in all places at all times. Chafetz Chaim. Mitzvah Mem 45. In regards to the mitzvah of not to curse one of the Jews of Israel, this is referring to only a kosher Jew who keeps mitzvot. If a person is not a kosher Jew, you're allowed to curse him. Chafetz Chaim in Biur Halacha, which is comments on the Shulchan Aruch, in the beginning, in Siman Aleph, where it says that anytime a person is mocked for being righteous, mocked for serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shulchan Aruch says, don't pay attention to these people. The Chafetz Chaim says, if a person works in a place full of apikosim, full of heretics, that are forsaking the Torah, and they want to implement different takanot, different rules, different things that will cause the Jewish people to forsake the Torah of Hashem, then it's a mitzvah to hate them and to battle them and do all that is possible to dismantle their plans. Just like David HaMelech says, same Tehillim, Psalm 139:21, Alo misanecha Adonai isna, umitkomecha itkotat. Tachlit sin'a sanetim leoivim ayu li. David HaMelech says, those that hate you, I hate them, and I fight them. The essence of hatred, I have towards your enemies. Meaning, the highest level of hatred that could possibly be. If you ask an average person, you have somebody you hate? Sure. What do you hate? Oh, I hate this guy who owes me money. Okay. You have somebody you hate more than him? Oh yeah, I hate my ex-wife. Okay. You have somebody you hate more than him? No, I don't know. Maybe this, maybe that. Oh, what about Hitler? Hitler killed 6 million Jews. Oh yeah, I definitely hate him. So most people don't really think about this so deeply that hopefully they don't, and get to the essence of hatred. David HaMelech did. David HaMelech says those people that bring Jews to missionaries, bring Jews in danger, put Jews in danger, those people are your enemies, Hashem. And therefore, the essence of hatred, the deepest level of hatred, I should say, is what I have for them. The deepest level of hatred. Rabbeinu Yonah says, it's allowed to say LaShon HaRa on those people because they cause machloket. It's not the people that fight against them that cause machloket, but rather the people that make these sins. They're the ones that are causing machloket. And Rabbeinu Yonah Migirondi 800 years ago says, not speaking against them because you don't want to make machloket is actually making machloket and is also a sin from the Torah. To not speak against them is a sin. Last but not least, Rabbi Yoel Misatmel exposed something that the other type of missionaries in the world, the Zionists, what they did or tried to do with our Torah. They published a publication of the Chafetz Chaim's Mishnah Brura. The publication was called Pardes, but they published the Mishnah Brura. Rabbi Yoel Misatmer was on one of his trips and asked the person to get him one of the books that's there. And he brought him the Chafetz Chaim. And he brought him the Mishnah Brura. He learns that, he says, I think something is missing. Rabbi Yoel Misatmer was Kodesh Kodeshim, genius, knew the entire Torah by heart. So you know something is missing here from this Mishnah Brura. Give me a different copy. He brings him a different copy that's not publication of Pardes. Rabbi Yoel Misatmer uncovers something. What's that something? Certain sections of the Chafetz Chaim's Mishnah Brura were deleted. What section specifically? In regards to the what he has on the Orach Chaim, Seif 156, in regards to the name Masau Matan, the laws of Masau Matan, there is a talking about all types of mitzvot that perhaps people don't pay enough attention to and so on, day to day. And Chafetz Chaim says, in regards to the loving your fellow, the mitzvah of loving your fellow, you have to do this, you have to do that. And in the end, he writes, but this fellow that we're talking about, you're supposed to love, is only someone that's a fellow in mitzvot, and not a rasha that's forsaking the Torah regularly. Because that type of person, it's a mitzvah to hate him. That's the section that the Zionists that were forsaking the Torah on a regular basis deleted, along with a few other sections that were very similar, that were talking specifically against heretics and apikosim. Meaning that koshering the pig is not a new invention. Our job is to learn the truth and spread the truth. Whoever wants to accept it, ashrechem. Whoever wants to resent them, reject them, go against them, your blood is in your own hands. With that, B'ezrat Hashem, this will give enough of us, enough chizuk, that's not only fire, brimstone, but also halachic definitions of what really is LaShon HaRa, what we are forbidden from saying, what we are obligated to say. In so many words, what I can tell you is this. When it comes to LaShon HaRa, is the following. If you are going to say something that's true, because if it's not true, then it's motzi shem ra. Saying something true against somebody else for your own benefit, not allowed to say it. But if it's for the benefit of heaven, you don't benefit out of it. You're not looking to make money out of it. You're not looking to gain popularity out of it. Nothing. In fact, may even be the opposite. Then you have something to stand on. Then you are saying LaShon HaRa according to the Chafetz Chaim. Meaning you are saying LaShon HaRa with permission from the Chafetz Chaim. Don't call everything LaShon HaRa that's forbidden. Because there is a LaShon HaRa that the Chafetz Chaim himself mentions in no less than 20 places. In his book, the Chafetz Chaim, and many other places in the other books. I mentioned to you probably, 15, 20 places today, or less. But enough, I think that anyone that reads on takes those sections that I quoted. You want to go deep further, go dig deeper, you'll see many more. There's the next halacha, Each one of them expands into others, before it and after it. I'm just giving you enough to scratch the surface. I mean, you're going to see that in dozens and dozens of places, the Chafetz Chaim not only tells us that there is LaShon HaRa that needs to be said, that's a mitzvah to be said, but rather it's a obligation to say and a sin not to say. When you are exposing people that are putting Am Yisrael in danger, it's not only a mitzvah to go expose this, but even better yet, it's an obligation for you to do so. And that's one of the things that anyone out there that's weakened because of some white beards and some people that look like they know what they're talking about, I invite each and every single one of them to take these halachot and show how they don't apply to the case. Show that we're wrong. And anyone that could show we're wrong, I'm more than happy to make a whole lecture admitting that I'm wrong. I can assure you, not a single person is going to try. Why? You don't have to fight with me. You have to fight with the Chafetz Chaim. Good luck with that one. With that being said, let's start some questions now that we learned that there is LaShon HaRa. That's a mitzvah. All right, Batisai is asking, is a Jewish woman married with a goy nida? A Jewish woman and a Jew and a non-Jew, or a Jewish man and a non-Jew, have no concept of marriage. There is no marriage. Civil marriage is meaningless according to the Torah. So there is no such thing as marriage between a Jew and a non-Jew. There people make sins and they're intimate and they marry and they live together civilly, and they even call their non-Jewish spouse their wife or their husband or whatever it is. But according to halacha, it's not considered a marriage. It's simply considered a forbidden relationship. There is no issue of nida, because she is forbidden to him at all times. If he's a Jew and she's a non-Jew, she's forbidden to him all the time. And if she is a Jew and he's a non-Jew, she's forbidden to him all the time, and he's forbidden to her at all times. So there's no issue of nida. It's a isur goya. It's a different prohibition, which a person that does that without doing tshuva has a very, very serious problem after they die. Very serious problem. Let's just say that. Why are there more Gentiles than Jews in this group? I'm not really sure what you're referring to in regards to the group. There are tens of thousands of people, Baruch Hashem, that follow us from all over the world. We have a pretty significant following. We have people that watch live. We have people that watch after the fact. We have people that watch today. We have people that watch tomorrow. We have people that are watching on bh.live. And we have people that are watching on Facebook Live. So I'm not really sure what you're talking about as far as group. But if you're referring to where you are in Facebook, Facebook is a public domain that, there are somewhere like 4 billion people. So naturally there will be more Gentiles than Jews. But I don't know how you arrived at the people that are listening to us are mostly non-Jews. But well, by all means, if you're a prophet, good luck with that. Misha is asking, how much of our growth in Torah relies on knowing Hebrew, since there is so many sefers written that are not translated? And will Hashem instill the language, LaShon HaKodesh, in Olam Haba? So Sfat HaKodesh, the holy language, is a very valuable, very important, but not for someone that's in his early stages. Because to learn what you need to do, to learn how to do it, to learn why you're doing it, could all be done in generally all of the biggest languages out there, whether it be English, French, Spanish, German. I mean, you have, and others, of course. You have the Torah. You have the Talmud, you have the Shulchan Aruch, or other books of halachot that are translated to countless different languages. And one of the mistakes that people make is that they think that in order for them to become what they want to be, they have to first learn Hebrew. This is a mistake, and I could even say it's a mitzvah from the Satan. Not that chas v'shalom you shouldn't learn Hebrew, but to make it a priority to learn any language, whether it be Hebrew or Aramaic or whatever other language you think you need in order to learn Torah, is a mistake. Why? Because although there is a special significance in reading the Chumash in Sfat HaKodesh and to praying in Sfat HaKodesh, in the holy language, to learn, meaning to know what's happening, to know why it's happening, to know what to do, it's important to learn it in the language you understand best. This is why we have Jews that wrote the Talmud. Part of it is in Aramaic, because that was the spoken language in those days. You have the Rambam writing in Arabic, many things. You have many of the other Chachamim write in different languages. And the point being is that what people make a mistake is that they think that in order for them to learn Torah, they need to know Hebrew. Yes, Hebrew is valuable, but it's not priority. There is a lot of other things you need to learn before you learn Hebrew. To learn the Hebrew takes time, takes experience, and it's not like Hebrew that the modern day Israel speak. It's Sfat HaKodesh, the holy language, it's a different language. It has similar letters, but it's a different language, and it takes time. And a person that's going to if he has unlimited amount of time, let's say a young kid that goes to yeshiva, that's in school for, 8, 10, 15 hours a day, yeah, he should learn Hebrew, he should learn Aramaic, he should learn a lot of things. Why? Because he's there all day. But someone that is a Baal Tshuva, is a professional, is someone that has a job and a family and really only has, let's say, an hour, 2, 3 hours a day to learn, should not spend their time learning Hebrew in the beginning. Perhaps after they've learned the basics for a few years, and maybe they want to take out of, let's say, if they maintained a 2 hours to 4 hours schedule steadily of learning Torah every single day, then they want to take, 20 minutes out of that day and dedicate to learning Hebrew, yes, that's fine. But for somebody to take their 1 hour a day of learning Torah and spend half of it on learning Hebrew, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. Why? Because you don't go to heaven for knowing Hebrew. There are plenty of people in Gehenom right now that speak Hebrew much better than I do. Okay, so it's knowing Hebrew is not going to get you to heaven. What's going to get a person to heaven is knowing Torah, to know what the Torah said. Now, when I mean Torah, that's both the written Torah and the oral Torah. So when a person is learning, for example, the Chumash, if you're an American, you're English speaking in the UK, in Australia, and other places that are Anglo-Saxon countries, you have a pretty much the vast majority of the most popular books, Farim, have been translated to English. Vast majority, but a lot of them did. A lot of them did. I'm surprised that some haven't yet. But there is the biggest thing is the fact that you have the Tanakh, you have the Gemara in multiple languages. That's already more than half the battle. It's 75% of the battle, I should even say. And then, of course, you have a lot of Musar and a lot of other things in different languages. So, if a person wants to learn Gemara, I always tell people to go and learn art school. Unless you are a yeshiva bachur, you are a starting from scratch. As a little kid, you got into it. You got into the yeshiva system in the beginning, and you have all day and all night to learn. Yes, of course, then go with your Rosh Yeshiva. He tells you to learn Aramaic and Hebrew and all the other languages. By all means, do it. But if you are getting into yeshiva as a teenager for the first time, or you are a Baal Tshuva in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever it is, for you to go learn Aramaic or Hebrew as the first thing is a mistake. And quite frankly, to learn Gemara from the actual traditional Gemara, if you haven't learned in many years or ever, it's a mistake. Learn it, with your first language. Meaning, learn if you're an English speaker, which a lot of people say, oh, well, I also speak Hebrew. Okay, buddy. A lot of people think they speak Hebrew, but in reality, all they know how to do is to make the sounds. They don't actually know what the words mean. Speaking Hebrew is not as simple as it sounds. And again, Sfat HaKodesh is not the same thing as conversational Hebrew. So it's to know whether you are what language you speak is what language you dream in. If you dream in English, that means your first language, your mother tongue is English. Either way, even if you're speaking Hebrew, typically, unless you are a Chassid, that was born into Chassidut and so on, typically your Hebrew is not, Torah Hebrew. It's not biblical Hebrew. So the point being is, learn the Gemara in your first language. If you're an English speaker, learn the Gemara in English. If you're a French or Spanish or whatever it is, learn the Gemara in that language. Don't force yourself to learn a language alongside learning the Gemara itself, because again, it's a mistake that a lot of people make, where they force themselves to learn the Gemara in the Hebrew and Aramaic mix. And what ends up happening is that they go through an entire daf or two or three or entire masechet and have no idea what's going on. Why? Because they don't understand most of it. So it's the beauty of Gemara is if you understand it. The beauty of halacha is if you understand it. It's not like the Zohar where there is a certain zgulot that even if you just read it, it creates a certain amount of kedusha and that's good enough. The Gemara is not like that. You need to understand it. You need to understand. Thereby, you need to read it in your first language. So, as far as Hebrew, I would not be concerned about it. If you're a Baal Tshuva that's within, at least, 5 years, within your first 5 years, I wouldn't consider it at all. I would consider a lot of other things before it. After 5 years, depends on how studious the person is, how much they spend, and so on and so forth. But it's even after 5 years, it's not a given. Why? Because again, there's so much to learn. There are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books that a person needs to learn. Learning Hebrew would just slow them down. And again, it's good, it's important, but it's not priority. And a person has to priorities. If a person has a lot of time on their hands, then it's a different story. But most people don't have, 5-6 hours a day that they learn Torah. Most people, you're lucky if you get, an hour of Torah from them. You're lucky. A guy that learns an hour a day, I wouldn't ask him to learn Hebrew at all. I would ask him to learn Torah instead. I would ask him to learn some more Musar. Maybe he'll find some more time, more than an hour. I wouldn't ask him to learn Hebrew at that stage. But either way, in regards to Torah is the priority, and it's the more a person shows Hashem that he loves to learn Torah, the more Hashem is going to open up their mind to understand Torah, to be able to learn more Torah in less time, to remember the Torah that they learn, to connect to it, to know how to apply it in their life, and not just theoretically, to instill it into their life. B'ezrat Hashem, it's give them all of the tools that they need. And I promise you that if a person needs to know Hebrew, Hashem is going to make it so that they'll learn it, or they'll acquire it, when they need it. If they're dedicated to the Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is obviously going to give them special privileges and special conditions, and not just in Hebrew, but in everything else in the world. So I wouldn't necessarily worry so much about the language. I would worry about making sure that I'm fulfilling the Torah itself. But again, it all depends on the amount of time that a person is studying, and also how long he's been doing or she's been doing tshuva. I would say that most people, for them learning, Hebrew is third, fourth, fifth, sixth on the priority list. And that's where it should be, because they have such limited amount of time and such limited amount of existing knowledge that they can't afford to go spend that limited amount of time they have to go learn Hebrew. You need to know how to keep Shabbat. You need to know how to keep kashrut. You need to know how to do a lot of things. And most people don't. So it's important to know those things. And, it's, again, Hebrew will come in its time. Michael's asking, when Bnei Israel left Egypt, they left with a lot of wealth. How would it have been possible for them to give tzedakah if everyone had manna to eat, clean water, and was so wealthy? They had no physical needs. We learned Hashem causes some to be wealthy and others in need, so tzedakah can be given. So the Chachamim say that it was all relative, meaning some people became filthy rich, like Korach had as much money as all of Am Yisrael put together. So, which means that in comparison to him, a millionaire was an employee, a poor person. When a person is infatuated with money, then they'll never have enough money. And people that I'm sure you've at least heard of certain people that collect welfare checks from the government, but they're millionaires. They have 2, 3, 4 houses, but they collect welfare checks. They cheat on different types of things. They tell the schools that they send their kids to that they're barely making ends meet, even though they're driving a brand new car. And this is not putting a bad name out there. It's a reality. It's happening. There's a reason why schools, yeshivot, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about public schools. I'm talking about yeshivot actually have people on staff that investigate the financials of the families that are asking for scholarships, that are asking for discounts from the yeshiva. Why? Because there's a lot of liars, unfortunately. Enough for the yeshiva to say, listen, we don't want you to take advantage of us. And since we can't take your word for it, because if we take your word for it, we have to take his word for it, we have to take our word for it, we have to take everybody's word for it, and we simply can't afford to do that because there's been enough liars to ruin it for everyone. So there has to be someone really obnoxious, really chutzpan, really just inappropriate in certain aspects that has to investigate. How much money do you really have? Because you said on the application you're making $150,000 and your wife is making $50,000 or vice versa, and you have 3 kids, and instead of paying $40,000-$50,000 for tuition, you can only afford $10,000. Well, can you show us financials? Can you show us your bank check? Can you show your bank statement? Can you show us your paycheck? Can you show us your tax return? Why? Why are they asking for that? What do you think? They have nothing to do with their life? No, they're checking if you're a liar. Tachlis. They're checking if you are a liar. Why would you lie? You're making a lot of money. Why wouldn't you be generous? It's for Jewish education. Because people like money. People like money. So for them, the guy that's making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, $1 million a year, he still doesn't want to pay $100,000 a year for Jewish education. Why? He'd rather spend it on Bitcoin. He'd rather spend it on movies. He'd rather spend it on buying another property or something in some bad neighborhood and turning it around and make it into a good property. He'd rather do something else with the money. So it's unfortunately a lack of emunah, a lack of yirat shamayim, and an obsession with money. And there's a reason why the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin says that the rabbis, 250 rabbis, these 250 rabbis were rabbis that Moshe Rabbeinu chose them after he got the advice from Yitro last week to put certain rabbis that are going to run the Beit Din. Moshe Rabbeinu picked these rabbis. Those very same rabbis had a lot of money, like all of Am Yisrael had a lot of money. They got some money from the Egyptians. They got some money from Yosef HaTzadik that they found the cave, all the money from there. They got some money from the Egyptians again after the Yam Suf. They got money in 3 different ways. They were all rich. But because they were all looking at Korach, that was a multi-billionaire, in their own eyes, they were all poor. So they went to Korach. Tzedakah, 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 tzedakah. And guess what? Korach says, how much you want? $1 million? Here you go. How much you want? $10 million? Okay. How much you want? You have a meat campaign? $5 million? Okay, I'll be the $5 million that side and $5 million that side. How much you want? How much you want? How much you want? And before you know it, everybody got stuck from Korach. Sounds good, right? Generous. Yeah, but Korach also became Gdolador in their eyes. Why? Because Ba'ala Me'ah ze Ba'ala De'ah. The one that's a owner of the 100 is also the owner of the opinion. So before you know it, the Gemara says that Korach became Gdolador in their eyes, became the biggest rabbi in the world, always right. Why? He had the money. So when he eventually decided to go against Moshe Rabbeinu, all of those same rabbis that Moshe Rabbeinu put in place went against Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Money. Money, guys. That's the Tikkun. Were they poor? No, but in their eyes they were. In their eyes they were. And unfortunately, this is a very common thing in the world today. I'm surprised anybody's even thinking twice about this. There are many rich people that feel poor. In fact, this is also in the Gemara, Masechet Sukkah, that the person that has 100 wants 200. Person that has 200 wants 400. Person that has 400 wants 800. Meaning the more money a person has, if he has an obsession with money, he's always going to feel like he's missing more. Meaning if he has $1 million, he actually feels like he is missing less than the guy that has 50 million. Because the guy that has 50 million thinks he's missing 50 million. Because he wants always more than what he has. And that's a reality. That's unfortunately a reality. Oev kesef lo yizba kesef. A person that loves money will never have enough money. And a person that loves money will not even die with half of what he desired. So there's a lot of memot, there's a lot of teachings in regards to money in the Gemara, in the throughout the sages and so on. And unfortunately, this is not because everybody's poor. It's because everybody has or many people had the wrong ideology, the wrong understanding of the purpose of money. In fact, there is a new chidush that we discussed with somebody yesterday that we'll publicize as a short shiur that talks about the whole concept of money, whether you should pray for a lot of money or not. Maybe we'll publish it tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem. But either way, it's not a matter of people giving tzedakah to people that were needy in reality, but people that believed they were needy. People that believed they were needy. Next question. Sometimes it looks like Psalms are talking, like or active. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. Okay. Another thing means large. Okay, I don't know. Guys, if you could please just make it simple. The questions don't write Megillot because it's hard to understand. Kvod Rav, I know that people are not allowed to go into churches because of Avodah Zarah issues. Are Jews allowed to visit Vatican City? If not, how did Jews go there in the past to see vessels of the Bet Mikdash? So going into the Vatican itself, or going into the place where there's a lot of Christianity and so on, there's no prohibition from going into a place where there's churches. You're just simply forbidden from going inside the place where they pray. So the Vatican is an enormous campus. It's not like a tiny little thing. It's a huge monstrosity of an institution. So they have sections. It's not the whole thing is a place where you pray. So that's the thing. You've said in your videos that those who don't share your lectures don't have the right to watch them. Does it apply to non-Jews also, or is it only for Jews? The thing is that I don't share anything else, publicly at least. I've shared the major movies because I was thinking it could be counterproductive. When it comes to doing Kiruv and sharing Torah with people, I always tell people not to overthink it. Don't overthink about making things, if somebody's going to watch it or not going to watch it. Just think of any marketing that's done in the world that's successful. Coca-Cola or Apple or anybody else out there is not thinking about all of the people that are not going to like their commercial. They're thinking about somebody's going to like it. Somebody's going to like this commercial. Somebody's going to like this product. So the same concept when it comes to Torah. Not everyone is going to like the emet. But the reason why we continue, making sacrifices above and beyond people's understandings to give shiurim, to do all the things that we do, is because somebody may like it. When I first started out, it wasn't supposed to be what it became. when I first started out teaching, I was simply teaching just because, I figured that it's good to help people learn. And it's good for me to sharpen my own skills as far as my own learning, because when you go over your learning, again, it sharpens your own skills. I never intended on being a rabbi or anything like that. So I started giving different short lectures in New York when we lived there, and then eventually we moved to Florida, and I started giving a shiur to one guy and then two guys. But initially, it was just supposed to be just a friendly thing like a lot of other people do. Just a friendly get-together where we learn Torah together. I'm in essence the teacher, but it's people could ask questions and so on. And my father, God bless him, may he live many, many years, who Baruch Hashem just came to visit us, and he got sick right after I moved to Florida, like a month or so after I moved to Florida, and he was in a hospital. And, but he liked to hear me talk when I was in New York. He liked to hear me talk Divrei Torah and so on. So I would send him different recordings. And he said, listen, the shiur you're doing with those people, why don't you record it? And what do you mean, record the video? He said, yeah, send it to me. I'm in the hospital, send it to me. So I said, okay, fine. I'll record it. Fine. I want to make my father happy. He wants me to record it. So I didn't have a video camera. I had an iPad. So I took my iPad and I simply recorded myself. Now, as a side note, the first shiur I gave in front of I gave short shiurs in front of an audience in New York, but it was always on Shabbat, so it was never recorded. I spoke publicly for many years as a professional, but not as a rabbi. But the first shiur I actually recorded was in Israel. The first year I recorded was actually in Israel, but I never posted it. So the first shiur that you see online on my channel is number 2. Why number 2? Because number 1, I never posted it. But how did this number 2 came to be? It came to be because I recorded my shiur. I believe there was 2 people. And I think one of them had to leave in the middle, and he ended up calling in. So we had like one guy there and one guy on the phone for part of it. Long story short, that was the shiur. Now, after I finished it, I tried to send it to my dad. But the file was huge. It was several gigs. You can't send it in a text message, and you couldn't send it in an email. So I didn't know, how do I get it to my dad who's in the hospital right now, and I'm trying to make him happy, God bless him. What am I going to do? So I figured, okay, you know what? The only thing I know how to do is upload it to YouTube, because at the time I was managing Rabbi Ephraim, my Rav's YouTube channel. It's that was something I was doing already well before that. Publicizing his videos, making posters, sharing it on Facebook. That's the only reason I ever had social media, was to share his stuff and share Rabbi Mizrahi's stuff. And anyway, but I never planned on sharing my stuff. I never had any stuff. So I decided to upload this thing on YouTube and send the link to my dad. And as you would have it, my dad liked it, which Baruch Hashem was great. But then the next day or two, I looked at it and it was like, 20 or 30 views or whatever it was, meaning that other people also watched it and they made comments that they liked it. And I was amazed that somebody else would actually spend any time whatsoever listening to me. So it was amazing to me that my dad asked me to do it again the next week. And I did it again the next week. And Baruch Hashem, 7-8 years later, Baruch Hashem, we have hundreds of videos and tens of thousands of people that have are watching the videos and have done tshuva and have changed their lives and have gotten married and converted and go to yeshiva, and some became rabbis and avrechim and a kollel. And Baruch Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu decided to make something that was not even a wild dream. It was just simply non-existent in my mind, and turned it into a reality that I never even imagined. My point being is, if you overthink what your role is in the world, then you're failing at your role already. Just think this: there's only one God, there's only one truth. Some people are looking for it. There is no way for you to know who those people are unless they've told you. And even the people that told you, they think they already know it. The reality is, anytime those people see something that conflicts with their existing truth, they typically change, or at the very least, they double check, because the people don't have such a certainty of the truth. The point being is that when you share one of the lectures, you don't know where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take that ball. He may just simply, that lecture will stay there and nothing will ever happen, or somebody will pick it up. And that somebody can one day become a rabbi. That somebody can one day become Gedol Hador. That somebody can become a righteous person. That somebody can, decide not to kill themselves. That somebody could do a lot of things. I got emails and mail all the time. I simply can't catch up, Baruch Hashem. I got a message today from one of my dear students, wonderful lady, that she'll find her zivug very soon. And she says to me, thank you very much. And I know already for years. So, so the thank you is, Baruch Hashem, I appreciate it, but I know there's a reason for it. What? You saved me from a sin today. I don't know exactly what the sin, but the point is that she says, listen, listening to you every day, that's what saves me. Why? I was in a bad way today, and I was thinking about something, and I put on your lecture, and all of a sudden my Yetzer Hara died. My Yetzer Hara died today after listening to the shiur. So when you hear messages like that, it gives you chizuk. Why? Because I don't even know what lecture she watched. I don't know if anything. All I know is, this is what it says, this is what I say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, use it the way you want. And that's generally what I pray for. People pray for different things. A lot of people pray for money, pray for this, pray for that, pray for this. I tell you guys a little secret, since, I guess you guys, got me in a good mood today. A secret. I pray really for one thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, use me as a vessel to help people. Use me as a vessel to spread your truth. That's it. That's really all I want. I don't ask for money. I don't ask for a lot. I don't even ask for health. Why? If HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to be healthy, I'll be healthy. If He doesn't want me to be healthy, then, again, I can. And sometimes I do. But the one consistent prayer that I have, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, use me to spread your word. I don't care if I get publicity. In fact, I don't even care if people know my name. It makes no difference to me. Why? I want more people to get closer to Hashem. I just know it's such a great thing to be close to Hashem. It's such an amazing thing to be close to Hashem. It's such a meaningless life without Hashem. It's such a sad life, such a miserable, horrible thing that, you want people to get closer to Hashem. But at the same token, you want it to be the right Hashem, not the Hashem that is marketed in the media today. That's this like gangster, rapper, hippie, Pikachu, all idol, all types of other garbage that people have put into it. Hashem is the king of all kings. There's reward, there's punishment. Know the truth, and that's what's going to make you happy. How could knowing the truth about punishment make you happy? Because when I know what the punishment is, then I have enough ammunition to stop me from making the sin. And now that I know that I'm not making the sin, and therefore will not get punished, that makes me happy. Simple. Simple. So this is the key. You need to be a vessel for Hashem. However He decides to use you. Whether He decides to use your money, or your thumb, or your finger that you press to share, or it's to the disc that you gave, or the USB, or the words you said, or the book you shared, whatever it is, try to be a vessel in every way you can. That's in essence what you have to do. And that's one of the things that the Rebbe Mikosk was a ish emet, ish kodesh, that was something unbelievable, that when he would see somebody have an inkling of falsehood in him, he simply couldn't stand it. One of his Hasidim one time came with he wanted to show the Rebbe that he's mourning over the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash, so he wore a sack and under his clothes, but he made sure that the sack sticks out a little bit. So the Rebbe sees that he is, he's wearing a sack, and he's mourning over the destruction of the Bet Mikdash. So the Rebbe Mikosk sees him, and immediately, without skipping a beat, what happened? The Yetzer Hara got you in a sack, huh? The guy got so like, the truth hit him in the face so hard that in essence, really, what did the Rebbe Mikosk say? He's looking to embarrass him? No! He's saying, stop being a faker. Why are you wearing this sack to impress me, or really because you're sorry over the Bet Mikdash? Why are you wearing it? He yelled one time, give me 100 Hasidim. That's all I want. He kicked everybody out. Everybody out. He says, none of you are real Hasidim. Get out. One guy left. He said, I told everybody get out. He said, you said, but if they're Hasidim. He goes, you're not a Hasid. He goes, no, I'm a Hasid. He goes, how are you a Hasid? He says, it says in the Gemara, someone that cuts their nails and buries them, is tzaddik. But if he's righteous. But if someone burns the nails, he's a Hasid. I burn my nails, Rabbi. He goes, okay, then you can stay because you're the only one that has a source in the Gemara why you're Hasid. The rest of you guys, get out of here. Now you're not Hasidim. And the Rebbe Mikotsk was a Ish Emet. They asked the Rebbe Mikotsk, how is it that these heretics, these idol worshippers, these missionaries, how are they succeeding? The Rebbe Mikotsk says, that's because these idol worshippers, these missionaries, these heretics, they are preaching the lie as if it's true, and we are preaching the truth as if it's a lie. They are serving their false God like he's the truth, and we are serving the real God like he doesn't exist. That's what happens. He says, all I want is 100 Hasidim with whatever shmata they can put on their head, screaming in the middle on top of the roof, Mi le'Hashem elai. That's all I want. Why do you say shmata on the head? He says, I don't care if you have a shtreimel, or you have a this kippah, or you have that kippah, you have a bekisher, you have a this, or you have a that. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need people that are going to tell me all they care about is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And they're willing to die for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's all I want. That's what the Rebbe Mikotsk said. And that's the reality, Rabotai. That's the reality. If we acted like the way we're supposed to, where we have the truth, and we acted like we have the truth, we would have to be the most vicious people in the world, the most selfish people in the world, not to want to share it. And again, it's not even a matter of sharing it with the whole world and sharing it with your sister and your brother and your cousin. No, just simply sharing it wherever. And let HaKadosh Baruch Hu decide. Okay, you're already on the internet, you're already on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, PikPok, all those stupid things. Use those tools for a reason. Share. You're on your WhatsApp, you have some people, share. That's it. Just who knows what's going to happen with it. You could be saving somebody. And that's the last thing I would say about this point is this. Everybody is pretty confident they're going to go to heaven. Truth is, even David HaMelech wasn't confident he's going to go to heaven. But people today that don't even know how to spell David are confident they're going to heaven. Let me just explain something to people. Let's say all of the people that think they're going to heaven are going to heaven, okay? They're watching Shurei Torah, they're fulfilling mitzvot, they abandoned the false beliefs, the idolatry, the secularism, whatever, right? Everybody's going to heaven. Now, of course, not everybody in their life is following the same thing. So how you feel if you're on the way to your heaven, your nice eternal world full of amazing stuff, and on the way, one of the angels says, you want to see your cousin? Yeah, sure. Let me show you your cousin. Come. You want to see your neighbor too? They're actually in the same place. They live next to each other. Yeah, I'll see my neighbor too. You know what? Your classmate. Remember the classmate? 9th grade? Remember that guy? Steve, I think you worked for them for a couple of years. Or what? Yeah, want to see him too? Yeah. You know what? How about this? That, what was it? Your secretary? Or your they're all in the same place. What? They all live next to each other here? Yeah. What? It's like a nice family. Oh, you can say that. Let's see. And he comes and he brings you, the angel brings you, because you're going to heaven, so you have special treatment. Brings you, come for a second, we're going to take a detour. Take a detour. Before we go to heaven, let me show you your family. And on the way to seeing your family, and on the way to seeing your heaven, and going to heaven, you're showing, and all of a sudden it gets hot. You go, whoa, what's Florida here? What's going on here? No, I'm showing you your cousin. Relax. It's going to be okay. Where are we going? I'm showing you your cousin and your neighbor and your friend and so on. And all of a sudden it gets hot. What's going on here? What the hell's going on here? Exactly, hell. Hell is going on here. Hell. What do you mean hell? And he starts showing you all these people that you know, that you had an opportunity to share a lecture with them that could have saved their life. That's why he's showing it to you. Because there's a connection to you, not just because they're your cousin or your neighbor but because Hashem put you in a position where you are connected in some way and you are giving an opportunity to show them the truth and you chose otherwise. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to show you all the things you missed. What will you feel like when all of those things you missed, the outcome of it is shown to you, and you see a cousin and an uncle and a brother and a sister and a neighbor and a coworker and a who and a wa and a he and a that and all these people in a nice community boiling with a sentence that doesn't have enough zeros on it. You gonna be happy going to heaven? Yeah, not as happy. Why? You just saw a disaster. It's really in your hands. So that's the thing. Let us publicize Hashem in whatever way we can. If we have the money, if we have the fingers, if we have the whatever vessel, let's simply all be a vessel to share a Kadosh Baruch Hu's truth. Because if the missionaries are serving their false idol Yoshke as if it's the only thing in the world, where they are sharing it everywhere, they are evangelizing everywhere, they're missionizing everywhere because they believe they have the good word, but in reality we know they have a false word, but we have the truth, yet we are scared to share it. Does that make any sense? Doesn't make any sense. So let's at the very least, learn from our spiritual enemies. They're sharing, let us share. They want to bring the good word, we have the good word. They're trying, let us try. And I think that if every single person cared at least about sharing with 10 people that they have on the phone already, they have on their WhatsApp already, they have on their Facebook already, but they took 10 people under their wing, where they know with these 10 people I'm sharing with them every week. I can assure you, you're going to build yourself a yeshiva, both in this world and the next. Why? Because some of those people are actually going to watch. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to make you do all of that for nothing. But as long as you share for the sake of heaven, not for the sake of popularity, not for the sake of telling them that you're right and they're wrong, because you care about Hashem. And therefore you care about His children. And when a person cares about Hashem's children, that shows that he loves Hashem. When a person doesn't care about Hashem's children, that means he doesn't love Hashem. What is it like? It's like a rich father told his sons, listen, I want to have party and get together and so on. So one of the sons that was also well-to-do, but wanted the father's money, said, what we're going to talk about in this party, Abba? It's like, oh, we're going to talk about the inheritance. Oh, okay, fine, that's good. But listen, it's kind of expensive to go. I mean, can we just talk about it now? He goes, how about this? All the money you spend for my sake, I'll pay you back. The only thing I ask you to do, make sure you bring your brother. Okay, fine, no problem. So the guy goes, tells his family, all right, my multimillionaire dad, he's ready. He's ready to give it all to me. Told me we're having a party about it too. So let's get ready. Buys his wife diamond rings, diamond necklace, diamond this, diamond that. All the kids get new phones, new haircuts, new suits, new shoes, new this, new that. He himself gets custom-made shoes, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. Everything is good. But of course, you got to go there in class. Nice stretch limo, one of those Hummers. On top of that, you have the private jet, $35,000 for every few kilometers. You know how you do it, right? Go out there with a bling, but put some Jewish music in the background. Misha ma'amin lo mefached or something, right? You get there. Oh, wait, hold on a second, guys. We got to bring my brother. What do you mean, that loser brother of yours, the guy that doesn't have a job? Yeah, we got to bring him. Oh, whatever, bring him. So, say, oh yeah, come, are you coming? Oh, he comes. The guy comes, he has ripped shoes. He's doesn't even know where, what. Doesn't have any. But he sees all his brother and the rest of his family, they have spent a ton of money. Why? Because he thinks he's getting it back from the father. So they get to the party. The father sees them coming out of the limo. Oh, fresh shoes, fresh this, fresh that, gown, $50,000 gown for the woman. And then he sees his youngest son, the one that he brought with him, not the one that was the rich one already, wearing ripped shoes, barely a dress pants, if you could call them that, and hasn't even taken a shower. And not because he didn't want to, but because he didn't have a place to sleep in or take a shower. And the father starts crying to himself. At the end of the night, when he says goodbye to everybody, the rich son says, okay, Abba, listen, I didn't want to make it in front of everybody, but here you go. Can you help me out? I got to pay the guys. Pay who? All the guys, the private jet, the private this, the private that. I only spent $1 million. That's it. $1.1 million to be exact. $1.1 million. So you could just make it payable to me and I'll just, because I'm not giving you a penny. Goes, what do you mean? You said you're going to give me. I said, no. I told you to spend for my honor. And I'll pay you every single dollar back that you spent for my honor. The jacket, the pants, the shoes, the plane, the car, the this, the that, all that stuff, that's for you. That's for you. The only thing you could have done for my honor was get your brother new shoes and a suit. That's the only thing you could have done for my honor, and I would have paid for everything. But since you didn't even get him that, he didn't even take a shower, he doesn't even know where he is because he hasn't eaten, you get nothing. You see, if you think about things from the right perspective, helping Jews get closer to Hashem, it becomes one of those things where, how could I not do it? Helping non-Jews that you have in your path see the truth becomes, why not? Why would I leave them living a lie? Meaning, you don't need to start knocking on doors and telling people, please, believe this is the truth. Because there's enough people knocking on the doors looking for the truth on their own. So each one that has some type of platform, whether it be his office or his way to work or his blog or his Facebook page or his whatever, if each person can care enough about at least 10 people, that they are to say from now on, these 10 people, and don't say 10 people that are your brothers and sisters, biologically. 10 strangers, 10 people that are not your biological brothers and sisters. You could add them too, but it should be 10 people that are not biologically related to you. 10 people I'm going to share stuff with. Every week, another video, little clip, little this. Every week. If one guy drops off, replace him with another. Keep a tab of those 10, you'll see people's lives change. You'll see if those lives change, and you'll see that the good that you feel as a result of that is priceless. The good that you feel from that is priceless. Meaning, even if you donated $1 million to, build, some zoo or something, whatever you want, it won't feel as good as getting one person to do tshuva. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Okay, Rabotai, we have last question. I know we took a lot of time on each one of these questions, but I think that they were meaningful. Charlie's asking, regarding the doctor of medicine prayer, do you say this prayer before taking the vitamins? And would you say it before going to physical therapy? Yes, and yes. Before taking the vitamins, and also before going to physical therapy, yes. Okay, it's a short question, so I'll answer another one. Robert, in Parashat Vayetchanan, chapter 7, verse 6, Rashi comments that in contrast to all the other nations, Israel's destiny is guided by God himself, not ministering angels. Is this to say that the nation's ministering angels guide the behavior and decisions of the nations, influencing their actions, destiny, fate? There is each nation has what's called Sar. Sar is a ministering angel in English, I guess. and the behavior of the nation influences the behavior of the angel and vice versa. They feed off of each other. When there are two nations that are fighting here, that's because the angels up there are also fighting. One of the places you'll see a proof of this is in Sefer Daniel. Prophet Daniel, his best friend was the angel Gabriel, who came to him saying that there is a fight in Shamayim, that he's fighting and he's weak, but then he got chizuk. The angel Gabriel got chizuk from the prophet Daniel's kedusha, and then he went back up and beat up some other angels. So the point is that it's not necessarily one is causing the action more like one is one thing feeds off of the other. It's a cause and effect to a certain extent. Some type of parallels, but nonetheless they feed off of each other. Okay, Tiskulim Mitzvot Rabot. Appreciate the learning. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I did, Baruch Hashem. Glad to be back. As a side note, no shiur on Sunday night, but there's going to be Hashem will publicize a shiur of some kind, a video, and also there's going to be a movie, big movie. Took us 2 years to put together, and that's coming out on Tuesday, Rosh Chodesh, Tuesday. For anybody that wants to help us do all the things that we do, whether it's helping the poor people, the 2 kollels that we have, Baruch Hashem, whatever, all the stuff that we have, Baruch Hashem, help, please go to bhtorah.org or bezrathashem.org or many of the other websites that we have, and we take us whatever money, whatever help people willing to give. Also, people that have technological skills, artistic skills, that want to volunteer, please do. And people that want to distribute some of the books and CDs and so on in their community in the United States, please go on the kiruvstore.org and get yourself some stuff. If you haven't gotten it already, we have some USBs and so on left that you can give out to some of your community members. B'ezrat Hashem. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.
אני מברך את הרבנים, רגע. אני מברך את הרבנים, הרב ירון ראובן, הרב אפרים כחלון, ראשי ארגון בעזרת השם, שהלכו בפי עליון, שעלו מעלה, יהיה להם ברכה והצלחה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא בלשונות ליבם לטובה ולברכה, שבכל אשר יפנו ישכילו ויצליחו, יזכו לעשות כאלה וכאלה, הרדינו תורה לאדירה, אמן ואמן.
בעזרת השם רשת בכל הארץ. הוא היהודי הזה, הוא היה מיליונר, סגר את כל הביזנס, אמר אני משקיע פה בעולמה של תורה.
איפה הוא גר?
בפלורידה.
פלורידה, איפה זה פלורידה? באמריקה.
במיימי. כן, ליד. אנחנו שם עכשיו הולכים להקים קהילה ספרדית.
חזק אותו בשמי.
קהילה ספרדית גדולה.
תעבירו לו מה שבירכתי אותו.
כן, קהילה ספרדית גדולה.